Welcome to the Ditch the Struggle podcast. I'm your host, Alana Rosso. I'm a graphic designer turned career and success coach who knew I could do better, but kept falling short of where I wanted to go. But after years of exploring personal and career development, business, money mindset, and energy work, I'm here to tell you that yes, you can move from stuck and defeated to empowered and confident. Ready to dive in? Awesome. Together, let's ditch the struggle. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Let's talk decision making decisions, something that is not always easy. So I'm going to share a technique. It's really easy to do to help you make decisions, better decisions, or when you're in that position when you have to make a big decision. So let's use the context of a potential job offer. You have a job offer. You're just not sure whether it's the right one. So you're not in a desperate position. You're not like, I have to take this job today, otherwise I can't pay my rent. So you're not in that position. But let's say you have a little bit of time to make a choice. So you might take the job, you could take the job, or you could not take the job. There's consequences to both sides. There's going to be repercussions to whatever decision you make. But you have a little bit of space, a little bit of time. And I'm going to share, let's pretend you have a few days to make the decision. And then I'm going to speed it up. And let's say you have to make a decision the same day. So you have a job offer. You're just not sure about it. You could take it. There's things you like about it. Potentially, you sort of see a couple red flags, but you're not sure. And just a sidebar about, the red flags. People ask me all the time, how do you actually know a job is going to be a great fit, or it's not going to be a toxic workplace, or your boss is going to be normal? Normal bosses, it's amazing. We just want a normal boss. So how do you know? The truth is you don't really know. You can do your due diligence, but until you're in the position, you just can't anticipate every single thing. Sometimes it's better than you expect. Which is what happened to me when I took a government job back in 2017. I talk about that in episode 16. Sometimes it's better than you expect. I kind of went into that job kicking and screaming, or not thinking it was going to be in any way enjoyable, but it was. And sometimes you can think, oh, this is going to be amazing, and then it's wackadoodle banana town, right? So you don't really know. But the way I see it is that whatever experience you have, you're meant to have that experience. And I'll talk a little bit about that later as well. But let's say you've got this choice to make. You're going to take the job or you're not going to take the job, right? So what you can do is we're going to pretend a little bit. What I would suggest, and I've suggested to many clients, and I have done this, is that for 24 hours, you pretend that you have taken the job. So what I mean by that is act as if. So if you're like, okay, I've taken this job, well, what would you be doing? You might go online. You might look at bus routes or car routes, driving routes. You might go into your closet, figure out what you're going to wear. You're telling yourself that you have taken the job. Now, you don't have to act on this in real life. You're just telling yourself and pretending. So channel that drama class that you had to take in grade 8. That you have taken this job. So tell your mind, you're just sitting in that space of, I've taken this job. And then you're going to observe how you feel for the next 24 hours. You really want to tap into how are you feeling? Is that stomach churning? Are you nervous? Are you slightly excited? Do you feel kind of relieved because you don't have to go on LinkedIn for the next foreseeable future, which is probably the best part about getting a new job? What are you feeling and experiencing? So a pro-con list is amazing. That's a great place to start. That's very black and white. It's going to be really tapping into your left brain. Right now, you will be tapping into the emotions, the feelings, your body. Okay, so I know for me, my body gives me physically the most information. So I'll have a stomach churning if I'm really nervous about something. Sometimes there's excitement. So you have to be able to discern a little bit of fear with excitement, attached to it is kind of ideal because you're going into something new. Of course, you're going to be nervous, but you do want to feel some optimism and excitement about what the choice that you're making. Again, you don't know if it's going to be the perfect choice, but you're going to sit and analyze and notice what you're feeling for those 24 hours and be honest. And it's like, if you can tell someone around you that you're doing this if they want to be in on it, but if they're judgy McJudgy, you might not want to do that if they're going to sway your decision. But really, for 24 hours, just pretend that you have said yes to this job and see how you feel. Okay. So you make your notes. It's great to just record them, write them down, really tap into that. And then for the next 24 hours, you know where this is going. You are going to pretend that you said no and you did not take the job. So how do you feel for those 24 hours? So now you're not taking the job. You got to potentially go back on LinkedIn. You got to look at your resume again. You have turned down this opportunity. How does that feel? Are you in fear mode? Are you kind of relieved? I feel like that often happens. It's like, oh, I know I, could take this job, but I'm relieved because it just didn't feel right. And, can you tap into the belief that you can find something else, that there's something potential better around the corner? And that can be really hard to do. Again, if you're in a super stressful position where you kind of have to take a job, that's different. But if you've decided not to take the job, what's going on in the head? Is it like, yeah, I dodged a bullet there. I didn't really like the people who interviewed me. Be honest with yourself again about how you feel for those 24 hours. And then at the end of this potentially 48-hour period, what is feeling better to you? Where are you leaning? What emotions are making you feel inclined to say yes to it or say no? What's coming up? And you can do this with absolutely any decision. Usually I do it for something that's bigger and not so significant, because decision-making is a skill and something that you can hone over time. And my biggest tip for making better decisions is to start with small decisions and making them as quickly as possible. So that means going to the restaurant and choosing quickly between cannelloni and ravioli. And I know we all have menu regrets where we go to a restaurant and we're like, okay, I should have had that. So generally, go for the fries, not the salad. It's always going to be tastier. But getting quick at making small decisions, going into your wardrobe, picking the navy sweater versus the pink one, not overthinking it. You have to learn to make decisions quickly and trust yourself to make the right decision. And on that note, the big thing that trips people up with these decisions, do I take the job or not take the job, is the fear of making a mistake. So if I take it and it wasn't good, I've made a mistake. Or if I didn't take it and I missed out on an opportunity, that was a mistake. We're just flooded with feelings that we're making a mistake. And what's interesting is when I went through coaching training, there was a huge module about how you cannot make a mistake. Now, this tripped up most people in the class. I could see when the instructor was teaching this part, everyone in the class is literally mentally going through the 5,000 mistakes they've made in their life since childhood or even since breakfast. They're just how can this be? This makes no sense. But the concept is that everything is leading you towards a learning experience, a path that you were meant to go on, that you had to experience that. And I gotta say, as I get older, I'm really on board with this. It's not like I don't look back and I do have some regrets, feeling like I stayed in things too long. That's usually where I would be tripped up. It's okay, I should have left earlier or but seeing things as a mistake, I just don't think it's that helpful. So I'm kind of on board with this. And this is what really paralyzes people when they're making a decision. Is it going to be a mistake? So if you kind of think, well, either way, it's going to be a learning experience that's for my greatest and highest good, it takes a lot of pressure off. So diving into the decision-making process is very fascinating, but this little technique of making a bigger decision I find extremely helpful. One way that I personally know that I've made the right decision is after I've made the decision, I never think about it again. It's I forgot about it. So I've had experiences where I've turned down jobs and I did kind of think it over and mull it over and kind of did this process, 24 hours thinking I took the job, 24 hours I didn't take the job. Then usually when I say no to the job, if that was a decision that was right for me and I came to that conclusion, I don't even think about it. It's like the next day, it's gone and erased from my memory. It's quite bizarre. And in that case, I know 1,000% I made the right decision. So if you don't have, let's say, 2 days or 3 days to make a decision, you've got to make a decision that day, you can compress this. You can go as short as spending an hour thinking to yourself, okay, I've taken this job, and then an hour saying to yourself that you have not taken the job. You can compress it down as fast as you want. But the trick here is to go beyond the pro-con list, which again is helpful, and then tap into the feelings you have around that decision. What's percolating up for you, what's coming up for you? Is the anxiety spiking? Is the monkey brain going crazy? Are you in fear mode? Do you feel sick? Do you feel nauseous? Do you have a headache? Like all the things. Everyone has a different reaction to stress, and making a decision is very stressful. It can be. So really tap into that piece of it. And I find if I do this, it's like kind of doing emotional due diligence, like physiological due diligence. I'm much more at peace with the decision that I made because I've walked through the entire process. And I do write things down, like what's, great about this, what's not so great about it. But ultimately, personally for me, I'm doing a gut check to see how it's sitting with me. How do I feel? And what's going on in that little brain of mine? And this is what really helps me make a decision. So this is just a quick little exercise technique, I would call it. And as I said, I've recommended this to so many people and they find it helpful. And if you can just pretend, act as if, and really sit in the feeling of making that decision, knowing that there is really no pressure to that day go either way, that you can change your mind, right? So if you sit with that for 24 hours and you're like, oh my God, this is awful. I can't believe I even thought about taking this job. You get to change your mind and vice versa. So it's like making a decision, but with actually no commitment. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. And I highly recommend trying this if you're ever stuck. And in the meantime, try and make the small decisions in life quickly so that you can learn and your brain can learn to trust yourself. And consider the fact that perhaps there is no such thing as a mistake. Take care, guys. Thank you for joining me today on Ditch the Struggle. You showing up here means so, so much to me. To dig deeper into the topics discussed today and to learn about my work, visit alanarosa.com. And don't forget to download your free resources while you're there. And if this episode resonated with you, please share with others who also want to ditch the struggle. Go ahead and subscribe to the podcast, leave a rating and a review, and let me know what you'd like to see more of on this podcast. And before I go, I want to leave you with my 3 favorite ways to ditch the struggle. Be your own best advocate, take baby steps for the win, and forget about a linear career path. It's overrated and you are doing just fine. See you next time.